the businesses that start will fail within the first 5 years. And a lot of times that's blamed on a few things, but it's been my experience that there's really one thing that determines whether your business is going to survive. And then if it survives, then we got to make sure that it thrives, right? Here's my thought. The one thing that keeps businesses from surviving is the leader, the founder, the person that put it together. Because many times people are operating from a space that they know nothing about. Couple that with a few places where they don't feel as confident or there's insecurities, then you got your complete recipe for disaster. Now, make no mistake, you don't have to be healed, healthy, and whole to be successful, obviously. However, if you're building something that's going to have impact, then it's helpful if you have the ability to see beyond the now, point blank, period. Now, that's just the founder part. Let's talk about the overall operations of the business. And while people will beg to differ, I believe that starts with brand development. Why? Because brand development isn't whether you can run into Canva and make a cute logo or flyer or whatnot. Brand development is the foundation for communications, operations, and leadership. And because many new founders overlook it and skip it, they find themselves not having the proper foundation to build their business on. So picture it. They go into Canva, they get a logo. We can talk about Canva in a minute. And then they start marketing this business. And I'm like, marketing to whom? Not knowing what you actually offer, whom you're offering it to, and why they should care is the key thing that keeps businesses that are surviving from moving from survival mode into what I like to call thrival mode. And I'm pretty sure I made that word up. But let's say you've got all of that. Let's say you've got the brand development, which also gives way to creative development, which gives way to offer development, which gives way to business development, blah, blah, blah. What else are you going to need? Well, unfortunately, you're going to have to do these things on, you guessed it, repeat. Because doing it one time is not going to cut it. There's a thing called a business life cycle, and it starts with launch and it ends with decline. And in between every part of your business life cycle, there's a revisitation of the brand, the messaging, the audiences, the strategies. And then as you grow, right, the team, your ability to delegate. One of the things that I've noticed, especially about founders, new founders, inexperienced founders, no matter how new or old their business is, oftentimes there's a lot of what I call efforting. And efforting is part of the reason why survival and thrival aren't meeting. They aren't happening. Because efforting means that you're putting in all this effort. Effort, 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 effort. You're putting in all the effort. You're doing all the things. You're wearing all the hats. You're making all the decisions. You delegate maybe, but not really. It's all on you. And I don't know how to tell you this, but no matter how amazing you are, no matter how many degrees you have, how many years you've been in the workforce, no matter how many awards you may have gotten, you don't do everything well. And so when I'm working with clients as a fractional team member, as their CMO, CBO, CGO, or CLO, and for those of you who don't know what that means, that's Chief Marketing Officer, Chief Brand Officer, Chief Growth Officer, or Chief Learning Officer, and truthfully, I have even more titles than that. One of the first things I'm going to look at is the efficiency of the business. After I get past the brand development and what are we saying and whom are we saying it to and is it resonating and is it landing, right? I'm going to look at how are we doing this? Is this efficient? Is this effective? Are you efforting? Because if you're efforting, here's something that correlates with efforting, right? It is personification of the outcomes. It is internalization of the outcomes. So if you're the person, you're the founder, you're the leader, you're doing all of the work, you're efforting every day, you're efforting, then when you're not getting the results that you want, 9 times out of 10, you're going to take that personally. When the truth of the matter is, it may have nothing to do with your efforts, but it may have everything to do with the way your efforts are landing, the strategies that accompany the efforts or lack thereof, the methodologies. There could be so many things. It's almost the equivalent of you go to the gym every day, but you do a few things, but you're not seeing the results. But you go to the gym every day. Maybe you go for an hour, maybe you go for 2. You do a lot of Pilates, you do minimal weights, you do a lot of treadmill. And for some people, right, that may work for the goals that they have. But if your goal is specifically to do something with your body, what you're doing, even though you're doing it consistently, even though you're doing it with a level of diligence and a strong work ethic, it's not producing. And that's where the frustrations come in, because one of the hardest things for founders, I don't care if you're new to this or if you're true to this, there will come a time in the life of your business, in the life of your organization, in the life of whatever it is that you founded or that you're leading, or a combination of both, where changes have to be made. And business is not a rotisserie chicken. You don't just set it and forget it. Daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly assessment of what you're doing and the outcomes you're getting and the impact are key. However, if you're doing that all by yourself, it's very simple for you to work in a silo, and that creates what I call the sadness of solopreneurship. The reason why many solopreneurs are sad, and some of them don't even know it, is because solopreneurship is being praised. You have people out here who are business coaches, etc., and they cater to solopreneurs. And you know what's interesting about the fact that they cater to solopreneurs is that they aren't a solopreneur. They have a team of people who are putting the information out, yet and still they are willing to keep you stuck in a silo that is reft with the sadness of solopreneurship. So you'll keep buying their programs and coming to their this and signing up for that. And I'm like, no more sadness of solopreneurship. Even if you, quote, can't afford it. I have come up with numerous strategies, there's that word again, that will allow you to increase your team without increasing your bottom line, if that's something that you can't do. Because whether you know it or not, whether you feel sad or not, the fact that you work in a silo, the fact that you don't have anyone to talk to bounce ideas off of, and that is vested in this business, this organization with you, it takes its toll on your capabilities, not only to function, but to innovate, to assess. Efforting is what is keeping a lot of individuals. Now, I will let y'all in on a secret. I created something that I call the success hierarchy. And I'll talk more about that in some other future videos, but I want you to know that it does exist. And there's like 7 stages in it, if you will, that I believe business owners go through. And that's predicated on my experiences as a business owner, and then also working with hundreds, possibly even thousands at this point, business owners, by way of teaching them, coaching them, building their brands, building their businesses, strategizing their growth, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We've got to get you out of efforting. We've got to move you out of efforting if we ever hope for you to see the other side of this thing. If we ever want you to see the ability to delegate and to leverage and to hit different revenue markers, we've got to get you out of efforting. But ultimately, you're the person that has to make that decision. I could tell you all day. And if you've been singing the praises of solopreneurship and it's so awesome, I understand that this might be the mind flip that you didn't count on today. But guess what? You're still watching this video, or you clicked right on this chapter. And so here we are. Welcome. You don't have to work in silo. You don't have to, submit to the cycle, the sadness of solopreneurship. Gosh, that's a tongue twister. You don't have to submit to the sadness of solopreneurship. You don't have to do that. But when things aren't stable, because the foundation isn't there, the brand development isn't there, yet and still you're out on Rihanna's internet, on TikTok, on social, not understanding that social media is top of funnel, not the entirety of the funnel. Listen, as much as people want to believe that marketing is just, a creative thing, it really is scientific. I know I've been doing it for decades. There's psychology to the colors. There's psychology to the typography. There's psychology to the messages. There's psychology to the size of the there's science to everything in marketing. And so for people who have been convinced that all you needed was a cute logo and you could go forth and we'll make it greater later. How's that working out for you? Now, for some of you, you're watching this video, you sell something, a product perhaps, maybe services, but a product, and everything's good. And what I will say to that is, I know way too many people making six figures that should be making seven. And what's standing between them usually is a lack of strategy. What's standing between them is the process or the processes that take them from successful to ridiculous, so that they have the ability to divest, so that they have the ability to tell their story. Sometimes the sadness is not about solopreneurship, it's about success. It really is. And what I want people to take from this video is that there's a lot of things that you can do to change the trajectory of your business. And in turn, you will probably change the entire trajectory of your life. But I made this video because, one, I know that brand is a term that is bastardized and misused and dare I say prostituted on a daily basis. And it may have convinced you to do things that are creatively successful, but not fiscally and financially successful. And I want to let you know that can be changed. If you say, you know what, I'm doing great, I love where I am, it's awesome, great. Do you understand that there are people that want to learn from you? And we can help you do that too. That's the other thing. The ability to divest and diversify, now that you've reached a certain point, is so super duper key. It's super duper key. And it is a game changer for you and your ability to generate revenue. So in all things, no matter where you are, there's another opportunity, there's another level, there's something else that you're being called to do, because that's how this works. You know, I normally don't attract in people who are self-centered and don't care about their fellow man. Everyone that we serve, everyone that I attract in, they are mission-minded, they care about serving others. And in that, let me say what I said to a group just recently. I said the thing that comes the easiest to you is the thing that you should be paid the most for. I fervently believe that scripture says your gift will make room for you and bring you before great men. Your gift, that thing that comes easily to you, will make room for you and bring you before great men. And great men, great women, great folks, they're never broke. So I hope something in this video is helpful to help you understand where you are. Check out the description below for more information, and I'll see you on the next video.